Welcome back. So far in Mandala 1, we have been walking through one sacred room by opening its doors one by one. We met Agni, Indra, Ushas, Varuna, and Rita. And in our last episode, we stepped back and saw something important. These doors were never leading away from each other. They were leading inward. Many names, many forms, but one deeper sacred center. And after that, a natural question comes next. How does a beginner actually begin with the Rig Veda at home? Before we answer that, let us remind ourselves of one simple thing. The Rig Veda is the oldest of the four Vedas, and it is made up of sacred hymns. Not one long story, not one single teaching spoken in one voice. It is a collection of hymns, verses of praise, prayer, invocation, and reflection. A hymn is not just information on a page. It is a way of turning toward the sacred with attention. And if you ever want a fuller refresher on that, you can always return to episode 0.1 and episode 0.2, where we gently introduced what the Rig Veda is and how it was heard and preserved. But for today, let us keep it simple. Today, we are going to learn how to read a Rig Veda hymn at home. Not as priests, not as scholars, not with fear, but slowly, respectfully, and sincerely. Before anything else, let go of this fear. What if I do it wrong? That fear stops many beginners before they even begin. So let us make this simple. Reading a Rig Veda hymn at home is not about perfection. It is about reverence. That means you come with respect, you come with care, and you come with the willingness to pay attention. You do not need to pretend to be an expert. You do not need a grand setup. You do not need to force a complicated ceremony. You just need a clean moment, a steady mind, and an honest heart. The Rig Veda is sacred, yes, but sacred does not always mean distant. Sometimes sacred means approach gently. Sometimes sacred means do not rush. Sometimes sacred means give this moment more care than usual. So the first practice is not pronunciation. It is not analysis. It is humility. A simple inner attitude that says, I may not know everything yet, but I am willing to listen carefully. I am willing to begin again. I am willing to grow. I am willing to become steadier, clearer, and more sincere. And maybe in that process, come a little closer to God. And that is already a beautiful beginning. Simple summary. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be respectful and sincere. Now let us come to the practical part. If you want to read a hymn at home, start by making the moment feel different from the rest of the day. Not grand, just intentional. Sit in a place that feels clean and quiet. You may sit on the floor, you may sit on a chair, you may sit in a quiet room, or in a peaceful corner of your garden. What matters most is not the place itself, but the sincerity you bring to it. You may light a diya if you wish. You may sit near your home mandir if you have one. But even that is not compulsory, because the deeper preparation is not outside you, it is inside you. So before reading, pause. Take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. Then again. Let the shoulders soften. Let the face soften. Let the mind arrive. This matters more than it may seem, because when breathing slows, attention often becomes steadier. Modern science often speaks about this in its own way. Slow breathing and focused repetition can help settle the nervous system and reduce mental scattering. Our tradition speaks in another language. It says, "Sit with care, gather the mind, and let the words enter properly." 2 languages, 1 truth. A restless mind skims, a settled mind receives. So do not jump straight into the hymn with the same speed you use for messages, scrolling, and daily noise. Let the moment breathe first. Simple summary: prepare the space a little. Prepare your attention even more. Now comes another important principle. Do not begin with too much. A beginner sometimes feels inspired and tries to read many hymns at once. But the Rig Veda is not something to consume in bulk. It is something to stay with. So begin with 1 hymn, just 1. You do not need to rush across pages to prove devotion. In fact, staying with 1 hymn carefully is often more powerful than reading many with a distracted mind. You may choose a hymn to Agni. That is often a gentle beginning because Agni is the opener, the carrier, the one who helps begin sacred movement. Or you may choose a hymn whose meaning feels approachable through a trusted translation. That part matters. For home practice, choose a version you can actually follow. This is not cheating, this is wisdom. If the words remain completely locked, the heart may stay outside the door. So choose 1 hymn. Read its title if there is one. Notice which deity or principle it is invoking. Notice the mood. Then begin slowly. Not racing to finish, not treating it like a task to tick off. Just entering, line by line, like someone stepping into a river and first feeling the water. And later in this journey, we will also sit with selected hymns more directly, slowly and carefully, so that you can learn not only how to approach them, but how to truly stay with them. Simple summary: start with 1 hymn. Stay with it. Let depth matter more than quantity. Now let us talk about how to actually read it. Read slowly. Slower than feels normal. The modern mind is trained to move fast. Fast reading, fast reactions, fast conclusions. But sacred reading asks for another rhythm. When you read a hymn slowly, you begin to hear structure. You begin to notice repetition. You begin to feel tone. And sometimes, if you are able, read aloud. Softly is fine. Even quietly is fine. You do not need a dramatic chant. Just let the words pass through breath and voice. Why does this help? Because reading aloud makes you less likely to drift away from the moment. The eye, the breath, the ear, and the voice begin working together. Attention becomes fuller. Again, science has language for this. Repetition, vocal rhythm, and steady breathing can improve focus and support a more regulated mental state. Our older traditions knew this through practice. Words recited with care shape the one who recites them. Not only because of meaning, but because of rhythm, discipline, and presence. And if a word feels difficult, do not be discouraged. Write it down. Practice it slowly. Listen to it a few times if needed. Ask a teacher or trusted source for guidance, and improve little by little. So read the line, pause, read it again if needed. Let it settle. There is no prize for speed here. Simple summary. Read slowly. Read aloud if you can. Let the breath and the words work together. This part is very important for beginners. Do not worry only about what the hymn says. Also notice what the hymn is doing. Is it praising? Is it inviting? Is it thanking? Is it calling light, order, strength, protection, dawn, truth, or clarity into the human world? This changes everything. Because a Rig Veda hymn is not always just information. It is movement. It turns the mind in a certain direction. It teaches attention through praise. It teaches humility through address. It teaches inner order by orienting the heart towards something higher. So after reading a few lines, pause and ask, what quality is this hymn waking up in me? Reverence? Alertness? Hope? Clarity? Steadiness? Now the hymn is no longer only ancient poetry on a page. Now it becomes a mirror. And slowly it becomes a practice. For example, a hymn to Ushas is not only about the dawn outside. It can begin to awaken dawn inside you. Freshness, beginning again, a gentle return to light. A hymn to Varuna is not only about a distant deity. It may sharpen your sense of order, truth, and moral seriousness. A hymn to Agni may begin as a verse, but it can end as an inner reminder. Keep the flame alive. This is how the Rig Veda becomes personal without becoming casual. It remains sacred, but it also becomes lived. Simple summary. Do not only ask, what does this mean? Also ask, what is this awakening in me? Here is something modern life makes us forget. Not every valuable thing works instantly. A hymn is like that. You may read it once and understand only a little. That is fine. Read it again tomorrow, and maybe again the day after. Because repetition is not failure. It is how depth begins. The same words land differently when the mind is quieter. The same line opens differently when life has taught you something new. And the same hymn, returned to over days or weeks, can become almost like a companion. This is one of the hidden gifts of home practice. It trains steadiness. It trains the ability to return. And in a distracted age, that is no small thing. To return to the same sacred words without boredom, without demand for instant novelty, without impatience, that itself is discipline. That itself shapes character. And here again, the science and the spiritual insight gently meet. Repetition with calm attention can strengthen focus. It can interrupt inner restlessness. It can teach the mind that not every moment needs a new stimulus. Tradition says something equally beautiful. Return to what is true, and slowly you become shaped by it. So do not ask after one reading, did I get everything? Ask something gentler. Did I show up properly? Because if you keep showing up properly, understanding grows in its own time. Simple summary. Come back to the same hymn more than once. Repetition is part of the practice. One more simple practice. When you finish reading or listening, do not instantly jump back into noise. Sit for a few seconds or for a minute. Let one line stay with you. Not all the lines, just one. Maybe a word, maybe an image, maybe a feeling. Let it remain. Because sacred reading is not only about finishing the text. It is also about allowing the text to continue inside you. This is where reading becomes reflection, and reflection becomes transformation. Very small at first, almost invisible, but real. You may even carry one thought into the rest of the day. Today, let me move with more steadiness. Today, let me speak with more truth. Today, let me protect the inner flame. Today, let me begin again like dawn. Now the hymn has crossed the boundary between page and life. And that is a beautiful thing. Simple summary. Do not end with a rush. End with one quiet moment of reflection. So how do you read a Rig Veda hymn at home? Not with fear. Not with performance. Not with pressure to become a scholar overnight. You begin more simply than that. Sit down. Slow the breath. Choose one hymn. Read carefully. Read slowly. Read with respect. Notice what it awakens. Return to it again. And end in quiet. That is enough for a true beginning. Because the Rig Veda was never only meant to be looked at from a distance. It was meant to be received. Gently. Carefully. With attention. And maybe that is the real home practice. Not just reading ancient words in your house, but letting those words build a more sacred house inside you. A place of steadiness, a place of order, a place of flame, a place of listening. They call it focus. We call it sanskar. And that is how one hymn, read sincerely at home, can become more than reading. It can become a way of shaping the self. And with that, we come to the end of Season 1 of our Rig Veda journey. To everyone who has walked this far with us, slowly, patiently, and with an open heart, thank you. And next, we will move into Season 2. We will begin going deeper into the family mandalas, into the steadier inner fire at the heart of the Rig Veda. So if this season has helped you, taught you something, or stayed with you in some quiet way, subscribe and stay with us for the journey ahead. And if you know someone who may need this kind of wisdom, you can share it with them too. Asa Hindu Wisdom.